Ever wondered what happens to your marriage after your kids leave home or because they're preparing to leave home? Do you feel a bit lost now that the kids are gone or having nightmares or your imagination is getting the best of you as you anticipate them leaving? Does this stoke within you anxiety, worry, or as you ponder what your relationship will be like now that the kids are no longer around or they're getting ready to no longer be around? Is any of those thoughts or any of these questions or these statements, however you want to see them, what gets triggered within you? What comes up for you as you heard me go over those questions? Are they resonating with you? Do you feel a sense of anxiety just to hear them, or do you have your, kind of swallow hard as you listened, as you watched and listened to what I just shared? Maybe it's close to home for you. Maybe it creates a sense of sadness, and you are experiencing that even now as I'm talking. So, well, today we're diving into how to reconnect and strengthen your marriage now that you're an empty nester or soon will be. Now, even the very phrase empty nester sounds like, oh man, I can't believe the kids have grown up so quickly. We are here now when they're about to go and do their life, maybe to college, maybe off away to some other country, maybe to travel and do a solo, whatever it is they're doing, it doesn't matter. It's still going to feel the same way. I can tell you that when my son left home over 7 years ago, and he was moving away to the state of Florida. So it's a long time. It's over 6 hours of travel. And I can tell you that what it was like for us, my wife and I, when we recognized the day was getting closer and closer to his departure. I can tell you that the day off, my wife, she had to get out of the house really quickly because she didn't want to be around when he exited our house with his suitcase and on the way to the airport. I had to be the one to do that. And I can tell you, it was not easy because as I sat around and was getting ready for him to finish packing his stuff, I went in his room and he was crying. I mean, he was crying as he packed. And then I joined him and I hugged him and we wept. I mean, I can tell you, it was a deep, visceral feel that my hug might not be anytime soon to have him to hug that way that I did. So I held onto him really tightly and we wept and our bodies just shook. And you can just imagine, if you've ever gone through one of these, you know what I'm talking about. And then at the end of that, when he finally packed and we took off and I put his stuff in the car, we left and went to the airport. I can tell you that I dropped him off and you were thinking that the emotions I felt at home were that's the end of it. But no, it wasn't. As I hugged him again and with tears in my eyes and his, and he walked away to the airport and I saw him pulling his luggage behind him, walking into those doors, my heart dropped. It was not easy. It was hard. It was tough. And then to realize, thank God I had two kids. So, I mean, two adults because, he was an adult at the time. And to recognize I'm going to go home and just we're going to have one of the two. And I'm thankful for that. At least some parents don't have two kids. They only have one. And when that one leaves, that's it. So if you're one of those parents right now experiencing this or listening to this, I can just imagine what it's like for you when that happened or when it happened or is about to happen. Because all kind of emotions, when all kind of thoughts are going through your mind, as it did mine at the time. But I realized that my daughter also could leave if she wanted to because she was an adult. And thank God she didn't at the time. And so we at least we had that relationship. But it's not like we're comparing relationships. Having both of them is great. And not because we have our daughter left behind does it mean that it replaced having him. But it was hard. And we realized that we're getting closer. We actually were empty nesters because our daughter didn't really need us as she once did. They were now adults. And this idea of feeling not needed as you once were is it's kind of hard, right? It's a tough one, especially if you're so used to having them around and then asking you questions or asking you for something. You felt valued or needed, but now it's no longer the case. And so I know what that's like in my own personal journey, but I also, as a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified relationship coach, I hear stories all the time, almost 2 decades of doing this. So I've talked to parents who are in this stage of empty nesters and they share their stories and their heart. Sometimes their heartstring is, you can see and hear, is still fresh in their minds and they're still grieving that. But now that their relationship, their marriage is facing the pressure, the stress, because the kids who were there as a distraction or as a deflection from their own marriage was no longer there. So I've heard stories after stories. I can have an idea what it might be like for you. So we're going to talk about how then do you rediscover your marriage and shared interests, and how do you improve communication, because many times these are the things that goes awry, right? Things go from bad to worse because now it's just you and your husband. You and your wife are just in this moment and the kids are no longer there, or they're adults and they're doing their own thing, and so it's just you most of the time. And I want to share with you how this stage could actually be an exciting time to strengthen your marriage. I have found some things that have happened as a result of my wife and I taking advantage of this season in our lives that made up for it. And so I want to share what I believe could be very helpful. Now, many couples feel a sense of loss, loneliness, or uncertainty when they're transitioning to the empty nest stage, as I shared briefly. Now, and so you're now experiencing and facing the reality that is now you and your husband, it's you and your wife. And so if your relationship is not what it ought to have been, you might be feeling like roommates rather than partners. And so the structure you once had in place with the kids is no longer there. So you're questioning the purpose of the relationship. All these thoughts are going through your mind. I can just imagine sometimes what that's like, right? Now, this could be a perfect time to reflect on God's plan for your marriage, because your marriage was there before the kids, and God had a plan at that time. And now he still does have a plan for your marriage. And now it could be an opportunity to revisit what that plan was or plan is, and how biblical principles can guide you to a deeper connection. I think it's very important to make sure this is factored into this stage of your marriage. Now, rebuilding intimacy and connection can be a bit tricky at this stage, because if you never had like some things in place before, it's now almost new. You're going to start these things. And after all these years of marriage, it seems like, well, how do we start? Well, if you can recall what you loved to do before the kids, right? What about revisiting those hobbies, those things, the fun things that you once did? I know you may not be as young and agile and I get it, as you once were. Things may ache now. You might not be as flexible as you once were. So I get it. It's not as easy, but you could revisit maybe a version of that is more applicable to where you are in your life right now. You could try new activities, right? Maybe cycling, hiking, cooking, painting, just simple things that you might now do. What about just simply walking together as a intentional thing you do? Some people are beach people. Now you could just go to the beach just by yourself and not have to worry about what you do with the kids, or do you take them along, or do you try to invite them and they're saying, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And you go through all of that with them. That's not a part of this script now. It's a bit different, right? Maybe you might need to be prioritizing quality time. I know your husband is possibly the one that is working hard and long hours, and every free moment he gets, he's working on the side business because he still wants to make certain that at this stage, you guys are able to financially do more things. And he believes that the more he put in, and he might even see this as an opportunity. The kids are not there. He's thinking, oh man, now I can spend more time doing these things. And you're thinking, hey, what about me? What about our relationship? Right. So you don't have to wait for the spark to come back to its own. You can schedule these things, right? Make them intentional in your experience as you now have this phase of life that you are now in. Small actions, don't have to think about big things, because some people kind of overdo it and are thinking, we have to do either this or that, or this or none at all. No, small things. As I mentioned before, date nights, going for a walk, going for a drive, going for a coffee. These are small things that can make a difference. And you now can just pick up and do that without having to worry too much about, whether or not the kids are going to be okay, or are they going to come along. You don't have to factor those things anymore. So this could be an opportunity. Couldn't you see that? This could be the moment for adventure where actually God could really use you in ways that you were not able to be used before. So I want you to think about those things, because when we are building our marriage in these, continue to build our marriages, right? Our marriage. So, and including biblical principles, like the value of say spending intentional time together and talking about things, maybe your dreams, your aspirations, maybe dreaming again, maybe seeing what may God want to use you both to do in this phase of your life. Could be traveling, could be doing some ministry, could be going alongside someone who already has something established, and you may be able to go now. So it can create space for that deeper and more fulfilling connection, because these are the times that you truly could begin to see what you might have been wanting to do, and now you can do those things. For some people, it may be going back to school or learning something new. I mean, it all depends, but you could do that together, where you are able to basically, be with each other and encourage one another, right? So I think it's a moment or an opportunity for you as well. This also could be a time when you truly improve your communication, because this is a part where you're going to talk about life, about where you are, where you want to get. You're going to talk more about that now than you probably have ever done, because why? You now have an opportunity to spend more time together and do these things that could really, really make a difference in your life, right? So I want to encourage you that this could be an opportunity to revisit certain things, right? To have these conversations about things that you may never have had before. And so this is the moment that you can truly go deeper in your conversation. So here's one of the things I want to suggest that you do is, in this period of time, you could be practicing active listening, right? To learn to be a better listener in your communication, learn to work on that skill set that may have been something that's been lacking for quite some time. This could also be an opportunity for you to learn how to work on conflict, right? So these are times where things you could be doing that you may have either not taken the time or overlooked. It could truly allow you to go deeper. You could maybe take this time to work on your relationship with a counselor or a coach and learn some of these skills so that you can have deeper conversation. You can dream about the future, dream about what God may have you to do, like I mentioned earlier as well. And so you could learn how to have even conversation about what it is you want to do when you once, and this is the hard part, because you are thinking more about your mortality as you get older, and maybe you haven't given thought about that yet, but at some point you will. At some point you will. And having the skill set can help you to have these tough conversations, and maybe revisit some things that you possibly have just not talked about. You know, one of the things that my wife and I have done in recent times, and which we never thought we would need to. We have talked about it, let me say that, a number of times, but never did. And that is to talk about our will, revisiting our will. Have we made proper arrangement for our future when, God forbid, we no longer are here? Do we have our will in place? Is it up to date? What about our insurances? So these are things that you may want to have conversations about that you never thought you needed to. But this could be an opportune time for that. Because here's what I find, that we have to recognize that God calls us to listen with love and grace. And when we communicate through this lens, as I just described, these things you're talking about, we're strengthening the bond in our marriages. And so this could be an opportunity, like I mentioned, to truly do a reset in your life. But also, it's a freedom, a freedom that comes with this stage. The empty nest, and I'm calling it that, is a unique opportunity to rediscover your relationship, your marriage, and embrace new adventures together. One of the things that my wife and I love to do when we do get a chance, and that's to travel. And we don't have to worry about, babysitting. Well, at times we have to worry about, we have a little dog and he needs to be taken care of. But thank God we do have, something set aside for him when we do travel sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes. And so it allows us to travel and, just two of us, just two tickets or two, whatever we need to purchase. It's two of us and at this time. And it's great. It's less money. Let's not, so we don't want to overlook that as well. You may want to pursue hobbies and explore new passions without worrying about the kids, right? You may want to build community and connect with other couples in a similar stage of life, because you could have those conversations and spend some time with people who are like-minded, who are at the same stage, and share your stories, because I think even when you embrace this new stage with a biblical mindset, what it does, it allows us to see this time not as an end, but as a fresh beginning, or a new beginning, to build the marriage that God intended for us to have. So I want to have it to look at this time and this season as maybe an opportunity, right? So I want to help you to rediscover shared interest, prioritize your time together, improve communication, and embrace the new possibilities that you now have, as you're kind of free to have, basically, in this stage of your life. Remember, it's not too late, right, to strengthen your marriage and create a fulfilling life together. And this could be the opportunity time for you to do that. Now, if you're looking for just something that would help you, a tool, I have created a free resource called 11 Rules for Happier Marriage. It's a one-page PDF that you can have simply by asking. And so you can actually go to buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist. Now, I put waitlist there because I would also want to introduce you to my new boot camp, Build Your Happier Marriage by Design Bootcamp. And when you sign up for that, to be on the wait list, and when I do have when I do get ready to launch that, you will be notified. But as my thank you for doing that, or one of the ways I want to show you my appreciation for doing that, I'll send you this free PDF just by you signing up at buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist, and you'll get this 11 rules for happier marriage. So I want to make that available to you, and the link will be, of course, will follow this. The description that follow this video is right there, and you also see that on the screen. So I want to make sure I made that available to you. So I want to encourage you, my friend, to take this opportunity as God's gift to you right now in your life. And remember, you are one communication skill away from a happier marriage, one communication skill away from that. So God bless you. And I want to encourage you by leaving you with this Psalm 127, verse 1. Unless the Lord builds the house, the laborers or the builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. Make sure God is helping you to build your house, especially in this stage of life. Now, may the Lord bless you and give you his peace, both now and forever. And may you experience the joyous time of this stage in your life. Now, you want to watch this video right here. And God bless you as you do that. And make sure you share this with one other person. By the way, this is very important. Would you, on your way out, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button right now. So mainly the subscribe button. I really appreciate that. And if you have a comment you want to leave below, feel inclined to do that. Go ahead and leave that comment below. But make sure that you subscribe to the channel and share this with at least one other person. Thank you, and God bless you. See you then.